4, 3, 2.
Well, good Saturday, everyone. This is the Concerned Forum, and the truth does matter. As I said, this is the Concerned Forum, and I'm your host, Robert Gumbs. Now, this is the forum's first time back in the studio because of the COVID alarm, and it feels good to be back. First of all, I want to thank everyone here at MNN for playing my previous shows to keep the home fires burning, so to speak, while we were, not able to use the studio because of the COVID alarm. And so I wanted to thank everyone here at the studio for, keeping our end up. Well, right now, we have a lot going on. First and foremost, we're stuck with an ex-president who's in love with the Russians, and we have a political party that really is no longer a political party. In actuality, you don't ban political parties, but at the very least, the Republican Party, as it stands now, with a few exceptions, it has to be labeled as an anti-democratic and racist organization. After the after the insurrection that was attempted on the 6th of January, I don't see how we can call it any other way. You got guys running around in our nation's capital with the Confederate flag, with T-shirts, basically denoting Auschwitz, Hitler, the gas chambers, that all these were good things. And, all these people were swearing their allegiance to Donald Trump. Now, a question needs to be asked: what happened to one of the two major political parties when they no longer stand for anything except the obedience and worship of a single individual? And quite frankly, it's not trying to scare anybody, but it's just being honest and telling the truth. We have a huge problem. The same crap that these people will talk about, for example, anytime you come off with something that's going to help the average working American, when you're going to help the American people, you get this cacophony of voices on the so-called Republican Party yelling, oh, communist, socialist, radical. Since when is expecting to be able here in the United States to get a clean glass of water, since when has that become a radical idea? Since when is that a communistic idea? To feed a hungry child now, in their minds, that's communist. I guess it's the same if you want to help farmers who were ruined under this last administration with the crazy trade policies. And see, therein lies the danger. I've been doing a lot of studying on the rise and fall of the Third Reich. In other words, Hitler and the Nazis. And I implore my fellow citizens to remember Hitler and the Nazis did not shoot their way into power. They used the electoral process to take over the government. And once they got in, well, what finally got them out? The Brits and the American Air Forces bombing them back to the Stone Age. That's what it took. And I'm praying to my fellow citizens that we don't have the same experience and that we learn from history. Everything that we as Americans have always denounced, communism for, the idea that if you are not bending down and kissing the great leader's feet, that somehow you're wrong, that somehow you're betraying the country. And that's the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. They basically, throughout their constitution, got rid of it. And people were having to take allegiance to Adolf Hitler, to a man, not a principle of law. And therein lies the danger with the Republican Party. I don't understand how, here in New York, for example, in our city council, and in Congress and D.C., why do we even bother sitting next to these people? We should throw them out while we still have the majority. I will tell you exactly what I mean by that. When you get elected to Congress, you take an oath. Just like when I joined the military, every time I re-enlisted, I had to raise my hand and take an oath of allegiance. To what? To the Constitution. We don't take allegiance to the president. Those of us, either civilian or military, that are in the government, we owe a debt to the Constitution, not to the president. And see, therein lies the greatest danger while we tolerate the Republican Party. Or I would say the majority of them, because we have some brave exceptions who are actually in the Republican Party. I don't know how long they're going to stay in, but I don't include them. People like Romney, people like Miss Cheney, Congresswoman from Wyoming, that gentleman's name from Illinois, what's his King? His name escapes me right now, but the young congressman who's an Air Force veteran and who has shown that he's not afraid to stand up to Trump. Now, these people and about 12, 15 other folks, I don't agree with them. I don't agree with their Republican conservative principles, but that's fine. I see them as patriots. I see them as Americans. But the party of my dad, my mom and dad, the Republican Party, they're gone. They're not only are they useless, they're dangerous. Number one, I have a very heavy disdain for cowards. Can't stand a coward. I respect you. You stand there, you get your ass kicked, that's fine. But you don't wimp out. You don't crawl. You don't play the punk. And as far as I'm concerned, the Republican Party needs to change its name from the Party of Lincoln to the Party of Punks. Because anytime you bend down to another man or another woman, to another human being, that's all that you are. I don't condemn anyone for being afraid. I've been in combat a couple of times, and I understand fear. But as an elected official that's taken an oath, and for them to go back on their oaths shows me and shows the rest of the country that they don't belong in those, they don't belong there. They don't belong in those seats. And that is what really worries me, and it should worry every other American. It should worry our Western allies. Because what kind of, they're still reeling from the fact that we let a buffoon like Trump into the White House in the first place. And some people may ask, well, how long are we going to keep talking about Trump? Well, that depends upon Trump, and really, that depends upon what used to be the Republican Party. Because you cannot say that you want to be involved in American politics after, you just tried to overthrow the damn government. I don't know why he is not in an orange jumpsuit being frog marched in a federal penitentiary, because he's a criminal. And those Congress people that openly voice support for Trump, not only are they punks, but they are also criminals. Because when you break the laws of Congress, I don't understand. What the hell are you good for? You're just like when we talk about bad policemen, cops on the take. Well, that's what these people in Congress are. They're disloyal to their oath to defend this Constitution, so therefore, they're criminals. And what Nancy Pelosi should do, she should demand that they, send them back where they come from. I believe that she has the power to do that as Speaker of the House. And this is not partisan, because like I said, you have a very small minority of Republicans in Congress. God knows I don't agree with most of their ideas about government, but I respect them as fellow Americans. I see them as dutiful, honest legislators. And no, they should not have to give up their seat because they're doing their job. But as far as the majority, people like Scalise, people like, what's his name, McCarthy, they should be out of there. And, McCarthy, he is such a, I would say the word, but we don't use those terms anymore. We try not to. But he is such a little bitch. How's that? Okay? McCarthy the bitch. Same thing with McConnell. These guys, that day when they were attacked by that mob on the 6th of January, what did McCarthy do? He was actually yelling at Trump, hey, man, this is your thing. You caused this. You created this. How dare you? Blah, 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 blah. And then a few days later, what's he doing? He's down in Mar-a-Lago, down there in Florida, that death state, and he's kissing Trump's ass. And he wants to be the leader of the House, the Speaker of the House? Oh, come on, man. How can a punk like that lead anybody? He can't lead a horse to water. But see, this is the danger of what's happening in this country. And the only thing that this shambles of what the Republican Party used to be, what are they good for? They want to hate immigrants. They want to hate blacks. They want to hate Asians. They want to hate women that want to be treated as equals. And they try to play off now that they're the party of working America. Ha! Since when? Number one. You got people like, what's that punk from Missouri? Senator Hawley, whatever the hell his name is? Him and Cruz. Perfect examples. Now we